You're watching Coach Speak with Erik DeRoo. So with July recruiting being full spin, a lot of phone calls are happening this week. They'll happen in the next 2 weeks with college coaches to high school recruits. And I want to tell high school recruits at all times, be prepared to ask questions. Anytime a college coach calls you or you call them because of the age you are as a recruit, the college coach is ready with some type of pitch, some type of sales pitch, trying to build a relationship, trying to ask certain questions. And sometimes it's just off the cuff questions, but it's usually the college coach pushing the narrative of how this conversation is going to go. And you as a recruit answering the questions that are asked to you and kind of telling the coaches a little bit about you, but it's usually a simple conversation. What makes a conversation really good for both parties is when a high school recruit is prepared to ask college coaches questions, because now it gets away from the sales pitch and into more transparent answers from the college coach. So don't mind me when I start looking down, because I'm checking the notes on the questions that I think would be great for high school recruits to ask. But here are a few. The first one, let's go through it. How many players do you expect to sign in my recruiting class? It's such a hard question now more than it was 2 years ago, because the transfer portal is putting a lot of wrenches in this answer. But they're going to give you now a ballpark answer. So say they already have 2 players committed and they're going to have for sure 2 scholarships left. They could sit there and say, we're going to sign 1 to 2 more high school athletes, and then we're going to look in the portal to see if we can get 1 or 2 grad transfers. It's kind of how a lot of Division Ones and probably Division Twos are operating at this point. But a great question to ask is, how many players are you expecting to sign? I think college coaches will probably stumble on this answer, but they're going to give you some sort of transparency so you have an idea of what they're looking for. The next question will be a good one, is what type of skills do you look for in players at my position? If they can't give you an answer that is similar to the style of play that you have, then you actually might be a wrong fit for their program. I don't think many coaches will do that, but if you're a true back to the basket post player and they're sitting there saying that you're a post player, but they want spot up shooters at their 5, it's probably not going to be a happy marriage in their system. But it's just an interesting question that'll get the coach talking about their system and their program and potentially how you fit. And this rolls into question number 3. How do you see me fitting into your style of play, into your program as a college basketball player? Another great question that makes these college coaches think about your game and think about why they're actually recruiting you moving forward to their program. Another good question that is really timely right now and always will be is, how many years left does your head coach have on your contract? It feels like an awkward question to ask, and people think about that, ask me that all the time, is why is that an awkward thing to ask to an adult? But in reality, if I'm a junior in high school and the head coach only has 1 year left on their contract, I might not ever play for that head coach. And I would imagine that will turn into a transfer situation and something harder when a new coach comes in and never actually recruited you as you walk onto campus. It's just harder. So knowing what a contract situation is, not saying that should determine your actual answer of yes or no if they've offered you a scholarship, but you need to know if you have a chance at playing for that coach or not. I always tell people, if you have 4 or 5 years left in your contract as a head coach, you should always feel safe. If you have 2 or less, it's a little bit dicey because it means you have to win. If there's 3 years, it's kind of in the middle mix. The next question that would be good is, how do you develop your players outside of basketball? Because all of these coaches are going to be selling how good their program is or what they're going to do with the program. The next piece of the puzzle is, how are you going to develop me more than just a basketball player? It might not matter to you right now. It might matter to your parents a lot at this point in time. But just getting these coaches to think outside of their general sales pitch is a good thing. And if you want that, they're going to like that too, that you want to do more than just basketball when they get there, and know how you're going to develop them as a human being. The next one that we'll look at, who on your staff oversees my position development? So I look at point guards. My head coach works with shooting guards. Our other 2 assistant coaches work with the post players. Super important in having a good relationship with your position coach. Not that that person has to be the lead recruiter on you, but knowing who's going to develop you when you get there, you need to start building a relationship with them. Even though they're not recruiting you, it will impact how your day-to-day life is and skill development on an individual basis. Another good question would be, what do summers and off season look like for your players? A lot of Division twos do not go back to campus during the summer. They're at home the entire summer. A lot of Division ones bring their players in from 4 weeks to 6 weeks to 8 weeks, different time spans. Off season looks different in regards to player development, 5-on-5 workouts, no basketball and all strength. Having just a general idea what that looks like is good just for your calendar, but actually knowing what their plan is to develop you in the off season. The last one that I'll talk about now is, are there majors that I cannot pursue at your university? The two big ones that a lot of colleges don't really allow for athletics is nursing and education. Nursing and education. Why? Nursing has clinicals. By junior and senior year, you're going to clinicals, and it can conflict with practice. Education majors, student teaching can conflict. At ACU, we let you do both, but we're, I would say, more of a rare situation than common in regards to allowing our athletes to major in whatever they want. So make sure that you know that you can major in whatever you want to when you go and play at a specific university. These are just a handful of questions that would be great trigger and conversation starters when a college coach contacts you. I'll do more on this. It seems like good content that y'all want, but you're listening to Coach Speak with Erik DeRoo.